Greetings, Ani, Bonjour, Kwekwe, Tanzi. It's Catherine and Brian at Moonstarlodge. And this is a little quickie solstice reading for Thursday, December 21st. We're going to put it out on Wednesday so that you have time to see it before solstice. But solstice covers several days on either side. And when I was little, one of the things I talk about when we have our elder gatherings and our shamanic gatherings celebrating solstice, I talk about the impact of being in Guelph with our family, lived in Guelph, and my dad taking us up Victoria Road to way almost to Highway 6, where there was something called Monkey's Bridge, and if you're an older Guelphite, you know exactly where I'm talking about. And this was before the land was expropriated to turn it into Guelph Lake. Anyway, he'd take us down over the side of the bridge and down along some paths, and he would take us into where the snow was fairly deep, but there were huge pine and cedar trees. And he would call the animals, and being an indigenous man with gifts of calling the animals, they would come. And the chickadees would come and land in his hair, and he would warn us not to laugh. Don't laugh, he'd say, because you'll scare them. Well, of course, my sister and I were little girls, and of course we'd laugh and they'd fly away, but he'd get his Kleenex out, or his handkerchief rather, out, and deal with what the chickadees left in his hair. Anyway, what he wanted us to see when all that was done was how the stars shone through the branches. We were little, so we were looking up at the sky through branches, and it looked to us like the stars were sitting on the branches. And he said, yeah, it's the time when the ancestors come. It's the longest night. The longest dark, he'd say. It's the longest dark, the shortest daylight. And he said, this is when you can see them. He says, they're with you all the time, but he says, this is when you can see them and talk to them. So he'd send me over by one tree, and he'd send Jude over by another tree, and he'd go stand and kind of stand back as if he was at his own tree and tell us to talk to the ancestors. And so we did. I was already at that age talking to angels and a few ancestors, and I didn't know that other people couldn't see them or talk to them, but I just chatted away and see who else would come, and to watch as the birds landed on the trees. And he would do things. He had pine cones in his pockets that he'd stuffed with lard from the Dominion store down on Aramasa Road, and he'd lay those in the trees, and he'd put seeds in them and stuff. He was doing his thing, but we were completely enamored of talking with the ancestors. And I felt such comfort with that. And I knew that the days would be getting longer. But even though, he would say, even though you can't see the moon at night, or only at night, you can't see the moon in the day, she's still there. Grandmother Moon is still always there, even when you can't see her. We had a really rough childhood. My dad was an alcoholic and quite violent, especially as we got older. But those times are precious to me because they set the stage for my awareness and development of spirit. So when we gather at solstice and we have our food and we share and we speak our stories and speak our truth, we speak about what we're thankful for, and that was the message. We were supposed to talk to the ancestors and talk to them about what we were thankful for. And you know, still ask them for help and everything, but this was about gratitude. And so Brian and I today filmed the video to come up on, you know, it comes live on Christmas Eve, and then it runs until New Year's Eve. And in the middle of it, I was interrupted by ancestors saying, you need to post a little solstice video because I've been too ill. We don't have the gatherings in the house since COVID anymore. And so I said, yeah, I can make a little video for winter solstice. So I pulled some cards, and I'll ask Brian to turn the camera. And please excuse my voice. I'm still recovering. So I pulled one card from each of the decks that we used for the video that we've already shot. And I asked Spirit to just tell me what they want you to know. Not necessarily that they're connected as in a story. They might be, but they said, okay, you know, what do the people need to know? And of course, the first card, this is from a Yule deck, was gratitude. Of course, it's gratitude. It says, all that I am and all that I'll be, forever in gratitude, I'll eternally be. And that is what our hearts need to foster on this solstice. As you can see, this woman is out in the woods with the trees, and she's speaking to her ancestors, just as I was taught to do. And the card that I use for the ancestors is the King of Cups. The King of Cups brings an emotional maturity, a benevolence, a grandness of spirit, a loving heart. So the overseeing ancestors are telling us, they're bringing as much as if he was looking down on this woman expressing gratitude. How much our ancestors love us. The spirit beings that are represented by this card are for the wind that blows our sails. This is a lot like the Chariot card, or perhaps the Eight of Wands. Our ancestors in spirit is bringing us gifts, blowing into us at this time of possibilities and the sun's return. All the things that are fertile and will grow for us if we just sit in quiet and listen. Here's the star. The star makes an appearance in the video coming up as well. Hopes and dreams, intuition, again, looking to the stars and the ancestors. The stars are in every one of these cards, actually. Down here we have, there is so much more to you than you think. And that's true. The ancestors always want us to give away our sense of smallness, our sense of being lesser than, our sense of saying, I can't, I don't want to, it isn't possible, not good enough. There is so much more to us, and they send the light, the enlightenment to us. The Moonlight Serenade says, change your tune. So we need to let go the smallness by changing our tune, changing how we think about ourselves, stopping the self-punishment, the self-flagellation for things in the past. The past doesn't exist anymore. All we can be is present. And what a beautiful card from the Shaman's deck. The Galactic Mushroom, the Divine Matrix. This is a card of the entire cosmos, the universe, creation, the giant web of creation for which we are all made and part of, and to which we return when we leave this mortal coil. We need to remember the Divine Matrix, and in expressing our hopes and dreams, it says, the explanation of this says, whatever dreams you are putting out into the galactic mushroom, they're being heard and they are being worked on. So if we spend this week coming through Christmas and into New Year's, using solstice as the kickoff, talking to our ancestors with gratitude about what it is that we want to see, like the excited little child I was 60 plus years ago in Guelph, everything gets heard and everything will be worked on. We just have to keep the faith in the cosmos. That's what it is, in that field of all possibilities, that cosmic divinity that we are part of. So Brian, you can flip the camera. A blessed, happy Yule to you and your friends and family from Brian and I, and Socks, and Nimki, and Ode, and Aunt Jenny. Aho, blessings.